Okay, hi everybody. So today I'm doing a quick video just to go over some of the improper process in regard to the first investigation against me, the first allegations, improper allegations, and which are also retaliatory. They're in retaliation for my having complained of racism. And the investigator on that is Steve Goen, who is the second investigator. And so I'm just going to go over some more improper process. So I'm just going to share my screen here. All right. So let's start here. So this is so we met myself and Mr. Goen and the mysterious enigma, Kelly. We met on May 13th. I do believe. Yes. So this is from the documentation of what was said on May 13th. So I asked a question that was not recorded. That's not proper. So I was told that Kelly was a note taker, but Kelly did more than take notes. And Kelly's conflicts have not been disclosed, and we don't even know who Kelly is. I don't know Kelly's last name. Kelly doesn't appear on Mr. Goen's website. So that's not okay. And that's if you look at I sent an email just now. Today's my birthday, June 10th, 2025. I'm 48 today. So that's like somewhat relevant in regard to how they've been, erasing me, erasing my entire career of experience. Like, everything is, they're pretending a lot of things about this, which are not real. So then I informed Mr. Goen that I had a question, and I asked Mr. Goen to describe exactly what is the basis of these complaints, right? So he said it's the Facebook. So they're trying to silence me because I've been exposing their racism and abuse online, which is my only, that's everything. These investigations are fake. This is what I need Indigenous youth to know, and this is what I need Canadians to know. Many Canadians that have experience in professional settings already know that. Many of us have seen this, and we've either gone through it or seen others go through it. So then like it's just crazy the way that they get more sloppy and more bold with their unethical conduct and improper processes and all this kind of illegal stuff. It's not legal, you know? So then I guess they just expect that they'll deal with that when we take them to court, and so be it. So, for example, down here, there are two complaints, but really it's one. Like, that's a problem, man. So what I'm talking about here is Dr. Barrett's complaint. That's the purpose of this video. So he says, if I want to submit anything in terms of my position with respect to psychological harassment, which is Dr. Barrett's complaint, okay, on behalf of someone else, it's improper. I wasn't notified of it. It wasn't translated, all that kind of stuff. So this is what was said. We went over this before. All of this is improper. And then I can't believe he said these things. This man's a lawyer. I do a lot of these types of investigations and certainly harassment investigations, which are serious. Like, I mean, they think that they can ruin my life based on their made up, delusions. And I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to defend myself. And that's why I use online tools to do so. Because there's no way they won't accept anything, any proper defense. They ignore, they erase all of my evidence. And they just, rubber stamp whatever Dr. Barrett wants, and that's what I'm trying to show here. So other types of purported misconduct, the complaints are often general and they don't make arguments per se. So that's not proper. In other words, they won't delineate how you might have breached the policy. That's not proper. Ultimately, when I said I'm going to look at the policy, that's what I do when I do my analysis and conclusions. So, I mean, that process is all backward. And like I said earlier in my last video, it's like some kind of entrapment strategy. So I'm going to have to look at the law for that, the case law. So I looked at policy, determine what happened as best as I can on an evidentiary basis. So he's going to ignore and exclude all of my evidence of retaliation, all of my evidence of of the way that they erased the core of my research, All of my, all of my statements in regard to how that's erasure of everyone who ever came before me, that these things are well documented in the literature now. It's not 30 years ago anymore. It's not the 90s anymore. Okay. A lot has happened since then. It's not the 90s when my mother was fighting racism at UBC. It's 2025, and all this stuff is well documented in the literature. Does it meet the definition? So they're gonna, so I mean, his job is not to do a proper investigation. His job is to, you know, to try to demonstrate that on an evidentiary basis, what Dr. Barrett has alleged is correct. And so that's not okay. So let's start here. Now this is my original timeline from before. I went through this in video too, if you wanted to see like an original. So in 2023, so in 2022, I identified as a MMIWG survivor, and I began documenting my experience with racism, including that fake Indigenous Leadership Council with Mr. Ted Hewitt and the other Tri-Council agencies. In the fall, I started my PhD program, and I was admitted based on Anishinaabe ontologies of reality construction. So my supervisor was Orly Lakasan, who was dean of the faculty at the time, who I've known for 15 years, and who was on my committee for my previous philosophical inquiry, which is very successful and well read. Everyone at SPU pretended they don't know about my personal research and my advocacy and my online racism. Like, as soon as I started, shortly after I started in September, if you look farther down, you'll see a video of a question I put to Senator Audette regarding the murdered and missing. I'm a survivor of murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls. And I put a question about the cover up to Dr. Audette. And that happened in September of 2023. And it was presided over by my supervisor, Orly Lakasan. So there's no way that these people can say that they didn't know I was a survivor and that they didn't know that I was doing this advocacy about the cover-ups and the and erased survivors. Not just MMIWG. All this stuff is related to Indian residential schools, because those programs, about that question I put to Audette, those programs were developed in Indian residential schools, and they're putting those programs on their own people now, by the way, and have been for a long time. So straight A's, and then this 85%. And then Kelly, she was trying to like corner me into that 85% is an A. Like I said, it doesn't matter. I dispute 85%. My work is being devalued arbitrarily. No one can produce a grading methodology. All of my specific questions about how any of these people came up with these grades remain no one answers those questions, because they can't with anything other than gaslighting. Everything they've done is just, they decided everything's going to be marked at 85. And they've done that for another reason maybe because I won't meet a threshold for funding and all this kind of thing, right? Why they chose 85%. Leave of absence after receiving notice of my complaint. So I met with Dr. Simon Tremblay-Pepin on January 30th about racism, dehumanization, genocide, and erasure, and so on. And I have since sent him several more complaints of racism in writing, all of which were ignored and not dealt with and erased. And the only thing that they say in regard to those is file a formal complaint. So that's not okay. After submitting Design Spine 1, so on February 10th, I met with Amanda Wilson. So I submitted that Design Spine 1 on February 5th, or excuse me, January 29th. Then on February 5th, I got Dr. Wilson's feedback, where she literally erased the core of my research and rewrote it. So you can see that in video too, when I went over that. So this is typical, it's documented, yada, yada. So then, and it prompted a meeting with Amanda Wilson. She at first, and it's about erasure and genocide and dehumanization. And she wanted to meet in the atelier with all these other people that can overhear and see. And that's further dehumanization. And so I said no. And I was later informed that we'll be meeting in Dr. Wilson's office, which we did. So it is my position that my concerns were dismissed by Amanda Wilson on February 10th in that meeting without any academic reasoning or logic for the dismissal, and she terminated the meeting because she has no response other than gaslighting, which is a very difficult position for Amanda Wilson to be in. So that's what happened on February 10th, not whatever she said, which I don't know what she said. It's never been that has never been provided to me. So this was added. So I didn't know this happened, okay? So on February 13th, so that's 2 days after I met, so Amanda Wilson must have been real mad as a result of that meeting we had on February 10th. And then on February 13th, what I've learned afterward is that Dr. Barrett, who is the vice rector of academic and research, sent a complaint to Carol Audette, who is the interim vice rector administration. The complaint reads and is translated. Carol, I would like to file a complaint against Dana Hickey under this regulation. With 21 posts in 4 days on Facebook about Amanda Wilson, this meets definition of psychological harassment found in Article 5.5. To say such a thing, they have to completely dismiss the psychological effects of all of this racism, dehumanization, and erasure that's been going on since I started documenting this stuff in 2023, and which they really amped up in the last semester of my coursework, particularly in the very last semester being winter, which is the focus of this investigation, and Amanda Wilson literally erasing it and rewriting it. So they have to erase, like, I don't even exist. Okay. And my concerns about being erased and dehumanized, my concerns about bias and discrimination based on race and political ideology completely erased for them to go ahead and say, oh, well, her complaining online, which is her only real defense because everything else is fake, her complaining online constitutes psychological abuse, and we're just going to forget about her psychological well-being or anything to do with her. Like, who cares if she dies? So these people are monsters. Note that I did not go back further than February 8th, as the evidence appears overwhelming and conclusive to me. So they act like we have no right to tell others what they've done to us. And I'm sorry, no. So I request that the student be removed from Amanda's class immediately to protect Amanda Wilson's mental health. That was on February 13th. Okay. But nobody informed me that I'm being requested to be removed from this class. And I ended up showing up on February 24th because from February 17th to the 21st was reading week and there were no classes. Okay. So they're still conspiring and they're still doing their conspiracy. And there's faculty meetings on Fridays. Okay. So like that's what it's come to my understanding that that's the case. So on Friday, February 21st, okay, after all this stuff, Dr. Eaton filed the complaint with Carol Audette, okay, and so did Amanda Wilson. So I haven't provided, Amanda Wilson provided like a summary of her complaint, which is poor, and it's vague and all these things, okay. I haven't shown that yet, but we might eventually get there, and then you can see for yourselves. I guarantee you, it's poor and it's vague and it's not okay. So here's Dr. Eaton, who is an executive on their full-time professors union. Dr. Eaton never spoke to me or asked for my perspective on this at all, ever. Thank you for reaching out on this matter. So I guess Carol Audette reached out to the faculty union on this. So I'm sending this letter on behalf of the union, one of the members on the executive. The executive members have met in the situation, including this other Professor Sula, who I don't know. Given the information provided by members and looking at all the concerns, on Facebook and Twitter, X, reasonable grounds to state that the actions amount to harassment as defined by the university and the Occupational Safety Act, and also constitute defamation of character. So I disagree. We are requesting that the employer investigate the matter and implement immediate appropriate interim measures while the investigation is ongoing. We would propose that there be no direct contact between the student and the professors named. So that's Wilson and Mackey. And Ms. Hickey has a class in the morning with Dr. Wilson and should not be allowed to attend. The student should be provided with an alternative means to complete Professor Wilson's course. We're also aware of behavior of accusations levied against Dr. Morissette, who is a fake expert in Indigenous issues and who is teaching that in this department. Nobody should be teaching that at St. Paul University. Dr. Morissette was teaching Indigenous worldviews and all this kind of stuff. And I'm sorry, no. Professor Morissette is non-Indigenous. I had a whole bunch of correspondences with the rector about this, the president of the university, equivalent, I guess, somewhat rector. And those were very insufficient. The rector lied to me in those correspondences. Based on what I was later told by who was still my supervisor at the time, Orly Lacassan. So Ms. Hickey should not be allowed to attend. We are aware of behaviors, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so attached you will find a detailed summary by Professor Amanda Wilson. So like I said, I haven't, the details are poor and not okay, and this is all crap. Maybe I'll end up showing you that one day. So interactions and incidents, the student question. Copy of social media post directly naming Wilson and Mackey. If they don't want to be directly named for this kind of BS behavior on students and abuse on students, then they shouldn't put the abuse on students. This is what everyone in Ottawa needs to know. This is what the pretendians and the fake me tea need to know. This is what the academic elite needs to know. This is what everybody needs to know. Enough of the genocide, period. So then there's a link that they put in the documents, post online constantly and will make public what you said. Ha, Dr. Eaton, you're hilarious. Okay. So then on Saturday, Dr. Wilson sent an email to after this, they did all this, they sent it to Carol Audette. And then on Saturday, the day after, on the weekend, Dr. Wilson sent an email to the students in our class that's the subject of this, that we're going to be meeting in the official classroom instead of the atelier where we met on every occasion before that. Dr. Wilson's class started at 9:30 instead of 9. It's the same as the fall in 2023. I never miss a class, and I arrived at 9:30 on February 24th, everybody. After all this, they didn't notify me. They didn't say that I'm not welcome in class, none of that stuff. Instead, they brought the VP, or excuse me, the Vice Rector, Academic and Research to be present in this class. They did, Amanda Wilson didn't identify Dr. Barrett anything other than observer. I didn't know. I don't care who these people are, honestly. And I don't research everybody, or I'm not obsessed with any of these people. And I didn't know who Dr. Barrett was at the time. At the break, I asked him for his name and he gave me his card. And I the next day I emailed him for his official reason for why he attended our class. He never responded to that email. He was there to intimidate me, and what happened is going to be told here. So then, in that class from 9:30 to 10:10, Amanda Wilson provided instructions to all the students, which included directions to incorporate her feedback from Design Spine 1 and how we're addressing that for consideration of the graded Design Spine 2. That's a problem for me, okay? So in my view, that's how the academic industrial complex coerces and pressures Indigenous students to accept the erasure of authentic Indigenous research and instead proceed with fake research. And they have many other strategies that they would have, like they had a whole plan of, they were going to weaponize students against me. They had in the syllabus, there's these planned discussants. And those were going to be used to weaponize students against me. So they're teaching students how to erase, kick us out of class, or other ways to erase us, how to like assault us with their colonial questions and all this kind of thing. They're teaching students that. And Dr. Barrett was there to reinforce this coercion and to pressure me to accept. Like, if instead, when she did said all those things, I raised my hands and I raised my concerns. Okay. And then after Dr. Barrett witnessed me doing that, that's when I was notified. So, and they have their phones with them, and it's my position that he notified Madame Audette to notify me of the complaint after they heard my response to those instructions. So, and not only did I give a verbal response, but I sent an email in class. I wrote an email at 10:12. Okay, in class. It says, hello all. It's to Dr. Simon Tremblay Pepin, Amanda Wilson, and Aurélie Lacassan. It says, hello all. Dr. Wilson gave instructions today to upload our last design spine with her comments and to show how we're addressing those comments in the second version of our design spine. This is a problem for me because I've addressed these comments more than once already. Dr. Wilson erased the research problem that I've been working on for 2 years, and she replaced it with a low-quality research problem that undermines the integrity of my research to diminish its value and impact, which is racism. My understanding of Dr. Tremblay Pepin's recent response clearly indicates that Dr. Wilson cannot direct me to use the low-quality rewrite, which reflects her worldview and is not an Anishinaabe research priority. If I am forced to do so, then the department is erasing the core of my research that I've been working on for 2 years. There are other problems with the instructions we received today. For example, my research is a philosophical inquiry into ontologies of reality construction, and therefore the department should expect that I reference Western philosophy. The research cannot be confined to a narrow Canadian context or to the last 10 or 15 years. I have already communicated these issues, but the instructions received today erase those issues as if I had never communicated them. It's my view that they expected me to change my position and to go ahead with their coercion and their erasure and their rewrite. So I've already communicated, yes. So the situation generates more questions. For example, why would I address these issues again when the upcoming assignment when I have already done so? What kind of penalty should I expect if I do not erase the core of my research so that it agrees with Dr. Wilson's rewrite? What kind of penalty should I expect if I do not pretend that my research can or should be limited to the Canadian context for the last 10, 15 years? And how am I to proceed? And then at 10:17, I received notice of this retaliatory administrative complaint, originally filed by AW and the Professors Union via Heather Eaton. Okay. So it's my position that Dr. Barrett ordered Madame Audette to send me the notification after I resisted their attempt to coerce and pressure me into accepting the dehumanizing instructions given by Amanda Wilson moments before. The notice read, complaint received from Madame Audette, complaint received from the Professors Association of St. Paul University on behalf of their members, Professor Wilson, Mackey, Tremblay, Pepin, and Morissette. Dear Ms. Hickey, we received a complaint on February 21st, okay, which raised concerns about some of your behavior, including allegations of workplace harassment and discrimination. As a result, the workplace investigation is launched in accordance with our university policies and applicable requirements of provincial legislation. The complaint is made under Regulation 224A, Prevention of Harassment and Discrimination in the Workplace, in accordance with blah, 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 blah. We will apply the steps receiving receipt of a report provided for in paragraph 7. The university has a vital interest in the health and safety, blah, blah, blah. Fair communication, confidential manner. Do not initiate any communications with university staff or students regarding this matter. Investigator appointed by the university will investigate the allegations and report their findings. You'll receive an email from the investigator. We encourage you to share your concerns. Evaluated it in an objective and impartial manner. I'm afraid not. So you will then meet with an investigator. You'll be invited to discuss your situation, blah, blah, blah. Expect to participate fully, yada, yada, yada. Speak information relevant to the investigation. Rest assured that no decision on these allegations will be made until all the necessary information has been gathered. They need to just drop all this, okay? Otherwise, we're going to court. We remind you that according to paragraph 8.2, all reports compiled as part of the measures taken in accordance, blah, 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 confidential. Yeah, so confidential, and I can't tell anybody this. Too bad. Okay, I have no other defense. Everything that even if when you can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, they erase it as if it doesn't exist, and then they laugh at you later because they get away with that with impunity. So that has to stop. That's why I'm doing things differently. The university will also maintain the confidentiality of information obtained about your complaint, blah, 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 blah. We are aware that this is, and they didn't because they're communicating with Doki's First Nation, for example. We are aware that this is a difficult time. We know that the university has put in place measures to support the mental health of our students, academic community, employees, blah, blah, blah. Counseling, questions. Okay. So then at 10:45, Amanda Wilson excused the class for a break. So I read that information that I just read to you, and I had to look at Dr. Eaton's complaint, and I seen what I seen, and so I decided I'm not coming back to class because I don't want them to accuse me of harassment or anything like like they said I can't so I'm just like it's better that I just leave. So I left at the break. I left campus. February 28th, Madame Audette tried to lock me into their official complaint entrapment scheme, and it's my position that complaints of racism were dismissed without any academic reasoning or logic, and that everyone insisted I file a formal complaint if I want the matter addressed. So that happened in a correspondence that I could show you. So I'm saying that because it's important that Steve Goen understands I never made a formal complaint because they were going to use that, I think, maybe as retaliation. So they have all these tricks to entrap you into things. That's not okay, friends. So Madame Audette, that's spelled wrong, by the way, but, just so you know. So there was another independent investigator that I'm not naming for the time being. And I have evidence that that investigator is not, in fact, independent of SPU. Dr. Barrett informed me that, okay, that's when I was told that Dr. Lacassan is no longer going to be on my committee. And then on March 7th, that's when I got an actual email from Dr. Lacassan. It's been crickets, and she never advocated for me once. And all she wrote was, considering recent events, I officially informed the dean that I'm no longer in a position to supervise your thesis. So on March 19th, I met with the first investigator, and she concluded the meeting by saying, so you will not stop posting. So like I'm saying to you guys, all of this is intimidation to silence me. Okay, they don't even expect it to go this far. And now that it has, they're in big trouble, mister. So Dr. Barrett's complaint was not included at any time before this March 19th, okay? So that's why I have this new updated timeline. So after these events, as Simon Tremblay-Pepin, who has a grievance against me, continued to grade my work. That's conflict of interest. So April 16th, I received the first email from the new investigator, Mr. Gone. It read, as you know, I've been appointed, to investigate these complaints pursuant to that. And the only person who ever stated that was Carol Audette and Mr. Barrett. Okay, so like that's not included in Amanda Wilson's complaint, for example, right? That's why I'm saying these things are improper. One set of complaints and an associated harassment complaint. So he's saying on this day of April 16th, he's saying that the complaint consists of those complaints I showed you from the 21st and an associated harassment complaint from Dr. Barrett. The second complaint is my complaint against the professors group, also submitted in February. See, that's why I had to counter that, is to say I didn't submit any formal complaints. And so then don't be saying that and don't be misrepresenting the facts. Binder of documents, procedural fairness, which does not exist in this process, been breached on many occasions. See, Kelly, no last name, no details, nothing. He asked me for a whole bunch of my availability. My response was, the complaint by Mr. Barrett was not included in the previous investigation. I have not been properly notified or informed about Dr. Barrett's complaint. Please ensure that I'm properly notified and informed of all complaints. I'm willing to provide information about my availability that is required to conduct your investigation, but not more. Therefore, please be specific about the dates that you want my availability for. Like, they want to know the details of my entire life. I have a PDF of Dr. Barrett's complaint, but not the attachments. I have asked for the administration to forward those to me. When I receive them, I'll send that to you. Once that happens, you'll have received notice of all complaints made against you, and there are no others that I'm aware of. So that was on the 21st. So on the 24th, as promised, here's the full complaint from Dr. Barrett. Too bad they're being shared. So they are being provided to you in accordance with procedural fairness requirements. Sorry, but we're already well past procedural fairness. Way out of bounds of that. So then on the 24th, dear sir, please be advised that in my view, the information you provide is lacking critical components. Please respond to this request for information with Dr. Barrett's written complaint against me. Okay, so all there is an email to Madame Audette. So that's what they're using as an official complaint, I guess. Please provide it in as few files as possible and do not include other attachments, because that's sometimes they use that to confuse people by sending all these emails with all these attachments. You can't figure things out. So on April 25th, good morning. I have nothing further to send you with respect to Dr. Barrett's complaint because I forwarded you exactly what I received from the university. However, I agree with you that this complaint letter is sparsely worded. And if you want to see Dr. Barrett's complaint letter to me, it was below in my I think I put it below in my posts. I'll have to double check. So I agree with you that his complaint letter is sparsely worded. Moreover, it refers to Amanda Wilson being affected by your conduct, not Dr. Barrett. So that indicates that as a lawyer, this man is trained to know that it's not okay in Canada to make complaints on behalf of others, and that Canadians have a right to face their accusers directly, not indirectly. So in the circumstances, although I will be referencing documents supplied by Dr. Barrett, and I've decided not to treat his complaint as a separate complaint. I'll only be investigating the professor's complaint against you as submitted by the union and your complaint against the professors. Like I said, I never submitted any official complaint. Okay, so all of my complaints were there were unofficial complaints submitted either like in writing and verbally, and they were never properly addressed other than to say file an official complaint. That's the only way that they were ever addressed. And I did not file an official complaint. And so I'll be informing the professors group of my decision in this regard, and I trust this clarifies the issue. I'm still waiting for the university, blah, 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 arrangements. Okay, so see, this is a problem because he is including Dr. Barrett's complaints in that. He says he won't be, but he is. Because at the end of the interview, I asked my question. This is what he's saying. So I'm asking, what is the precise basis of these complaints? And he says, well, in essence, this is the Facebook post about 3 or 4 professors and the fact that they feel, in their words, is defamatory, but targeting them personally, it's a breach of policy. So on what basis exactly, please? We will have to look at that policy and make the determination, Dr. Goen says. So like, that's not okay. Okay, well, I'm just pointing out to you that you can't answer the question. That's when Kelly came in and stated from her recollection, there's a section of policy on defamation. I have it written down here somewhere, but I would have to go through it and find it. But we do know that what the policy is because it was explained to us by Dr. Barrett, okay? And that's literally what Kelly said. So I have that documentation. So then Dr. Goen stated, there are 2 complaints, but really it's 1. See, these are problems, and that's not okay. And you can't do that to people. So on February 21st, there's a complaint that's at tab B, somewhat chronological, given the information you provided. Facebook, Twitter, we have reasonable grounds to state that it's, that it's harassment. So I agree with you that it doesn't really explain the nature of the breach. Dr. Barrett said in French that it's psychological harassment and a breach of 5.5, with 21 publications in 4 days on Facebook with respect to Amanda Wilson, and he didn't reference the other professors. He said this meets the definition of psychological harassment. So that's the basis of the complaint. And I would suggest that even though it's not articulated in the union letter, it's the same basis. So yeah, I showed you that complaint on February 13th, I want to say, and above in this timeline. So that's, and it was, I had it, and it's translated into English. So I already showed you that from Dr. Barrett, and that's not proper. And I wasn't notified that until well into April, halfway through April. Okay, well, we will just have you know that it's my position that Dr. Barrett's complaint is improper. It was not included, and it's not proper because it wasn't included in the original complaint on February 24th. Like, Dr. Barrett made that complaint to Dr. Audette before the 24th, and they didn't include it, not until well into April. Mr. Go said, well, if you want to submit anything to me in terms of your position with respect to psychological harassment and how Facebook posts do not constitute psychological harassment, please do that. So it is my right to, I have a right of freedom of expression. And like I said, these processes are fake. That's well known. And my only defense in real life is here online to make sure that everybody knows what you guys are up to. It's unethical and it's not okay. It's also not legal. So, and they have to erase all of the psychological effects of this onslaught and pile on onto me. That's in retaliation for my original complaints of racism. They have to erase the psychological impacts of all of that onto me in order to say that I'm psychologically harassing them. Okay, it's not okay. So dehumanization is not okay. Erasing survivors is not okay. Okay. I didn't receive proper notice, blah, blah, blah. It's in French. Well, if you need more time, yada, yada. No, thank you. They're very improper, obviously. Okay, well, you don't require, no, it's too late. So I actually, like, I didn't get a translation of Dr. Barrett's complaint until just then, which was May 13th. I didn't bother to translate it myself. When I seen that, like, I thought that was just the email that was going to Carol Audette, like saying, oh, see my complaint. But there is no official complaint that documents exactly what is this harassment or any of that kind of stuff, right? So like I said, all these things are improper. I didn't bother translating at the time. I'm like, that's just an email. It's not even an official complaint. So I got the translation just now. And then he said all of those improper things about how far into unethical territory academia has gone. And these, he has a lot of experience with these kinds of investigations. This is what these people are actually experts in. They're constantly wielding this kind of violence against each other. And these are scams. These scams employ Mr. Goen. These scams are this is his income, is these scams. So. And my response to all of that improper stuff and unbelievable things that he said, as if Canadians have no rights, and as if as erasing all of history, making up new rules. I said, well, it's demonstrative of how far yous have gone. So I'm gonna stop the share. Let me see if I can. Let's get this open. How do I get this? Okay, here we go. So stop the share. How do I stop the share? 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 How do I stop the sh Uh, can't stop the share all of a sudden. I sure hope I was sharing all that, or else I'm gonna have to redo this video. So I'm just gonna stop the recording, and then hopefully this video works, and if it works, I'll post it. Thank you for watching. Happy birthday to me. Bye.